Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you and learning with you again. Thanks so much for joining us. Our presentation today is entitled On the Laws of Life 4, the Laws of Purification and Rebirth. Now, the Rosicrucian laws of purification and rebirth and their various forms are an intriguing and important part of our evolvement on the mystical path and in life. If the outer self will work with the inner self, these matters can be seen aright and embraced for their life-giving and maturing lessons for the realization of harmonium and unity. Now, as our common practice, we'll have a meditation first, and then we'll enter into the main body of the presentation. And I'll get some slides ready for you now. And you'll see before you here an artwork by Simone Elizabeth Saunders. She's a visual artist who lives in Calgary. The work is entitled Cosmos Creation. It was made in 2021. The material is actually a hand-tufted velvet, acrylic, and wool yarn on a rug warp. And it's about 163 centimeters by 163 centimeters and about 3 centimeters thick. This work was recently on display at the Textile Museum of Canada. And I know that Nat and Salome, as well as myself, were quite thrilled to see these inspiring works by Simone Elizabeth Saunders. In it, you'll see a depiction of the creation of the universe, both on a cosmic scale, but also in the various forms on the temple of the earth in nature. Simone Elizabeth Saunders has a great understanding and appreciation of her Jamaican roots and expression of Black heritage and Black philosophy and wisdom. And she's very much an important part of her work, particularly for Black women. We'll keep in mind this inspiring work because when we ascend up into the heights of the celestial sanctum, in a way, we'll be going through this cosmos and the entirety of creation. At that exhibit that was recently held at the Textile Museum in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, there was a poem on the wall that was opposite this work that I'll show you now, actually, from a photograph. And it's here. It's entitled Ancestral Bodies. And we'll zoom in on it a little, get a little closer for you here on it, so it's easier for you to read, but I'll read it to you. She has written the legacy of the stars, blackness, the expanse of the universe, the colliding of moons unseen by the conscious eye. How do we measure the reach of the universe? The same way in which we honor our ancestors. We believe, we exhale, we let go. A vast unknown cradled by our belief. All past, every present, knowing future into one. We excel and rise up, encompassing the galaxy, an infinite connection of trailing novas, weaving our hearts and minds as one. Be our ancestors, be creation, become the cosmos, an intergalactic union, finding strength and joy, forging resilience. Be it all, Black woman of unwavering grace. Be you, inhabit the galaxy. A related work by Simone Elizabeth Saunders is this work, which is also done in textiles of the hand-tufted velvet and acrylic and wool yarn on a rug warp. It's entitled Rise Up, Encompass the Galaxy, and it's from 2021. You know, it's a tremendous range of energy in it, and the sense of an enlightened state of being, a sense of being ourselves. You'll see the artist's signature here. The great flow and action of the waves, the movement of light. It's a very uplifting work, wondrous range of colors. You'll see the symbolism of the snake, which in an education guide, which I'll give you a resource on for this exhibit, mentions that there's many symbolism, of course, of a snake, including fertility, rebirth, that we'll be talking about, and as well as immortality. So with this work in mind by the inspired artist Simone Elizabeth Saunders, let us take some time to also rise up, as the title of this work indicates, and encompass the galaxy. We'll do that by following the instructions of a key Rosicrucian meditation document, the booklet Liber 777, which I'll give you resources for towards the end of the presentation through Karen. This time I invite you to engage in a meditation inspired by these works of visual art on the cosmos, on the creation, and rising up into the galaxy. Let us close our eyes, let go of the cares of the day. Take some deep neutral breaths. That is neither holding the inhalation nor holding the exhalation. However you're situated, lying down or seated, just make sure you can breathe in an unencumbered way. If you're seated, have your spine upright. Make sure you're comfortable in your chair. Suggest you have your hands in your laps, palms down, legs at right angles at the knee, feet flat on the floor, connecting the holy temple of the body with the temple of the earth, being well grounded. Just enjoy the gentle rhythms of the breath and take some time just to check in with yourself, how you are. Just feel whatever there is to feel. Meditation is a profound act of being open, or to be a human being is to be open. Not avoiding anything or just trying to sweep anything under the rug. Whatever comes to mind, just let it go and release it and return back to the gentle rhythm of the breath. Being well grounded and well centered. Just checking in how you're feeling. Maybe you've had a challenging day or an uplifting day, whatever it is. Now is a time for us to have a mini retreat, to be recharged and rejuvenated, and to rise up into the galaxy and beyond. You may wish to prolong your exhalation to further activate the vagus nerve, which then leads to a relaxation response. And relaxation is a key to being whole and healing. Our body, the holy temple, likes to relax. Our mind likes to relax. It's when we're relaxed and calm that we can do our best in action and otherwise. Our mind is clear and focused. Our faculties become more integrated in realization and execution. Just enjoy the gentle rhythms of the breath in harmony with what the Rosicrucians refer to as the great sea or ocean of vibrations that we call the cosmic keyboard. As we grow in maturity and mastery in life, we're like a master pianist who can play the full range of the keys of the cosmic keyboard as to what is needed, whether it's healing ourselves or others, engaging in a sport, cooking, filling our career duties, loving others. We all play and touch upon the different keys of the cosmic keyboard. Now let us follow the instructions in an expanded way, the booklet Liber 777. I invite you now to use all your inner psychic faculties and imagination. Picture yourself rising up from the room where you're situated. up over the house or building or dwelling where you are. Look down on it. Start to enjoy the rising up in an inner psychic and imaginative way. And look down now on your neighborhood as you continue to rise up and see the system and order there. And continue to journey upward and see the city or geographic area where you are and see the system and order and the beauty of it all. And keep rising up, taking in a more and more expanded view. See the entire state or province where you dwell, the associated landforms and maybe deserts or seashore or lakefronts or high hills or mountains or farmland, whatever is applicable. See the urban areas and radiate love and well-being down to all sentient beings there. It's our birthright to be able to do this through our divine nature. And continue to rise up faster and faster as we begin to transcend space and time and move beyond, well beyond the speed of light, and see our great country or nation where we dwell and radiate love and well-being down to all creatures and people there. See the great weather systems and landforms. And as we continue to rise up, see now the continent where you dwell and even the hemisphere where you dwell. And now take in the entire oblate spheroid or beautiful blue jewel of the earth with its oceans, its seas, blues, browns and greens of the landscapes, the large weather systems, and see it rotating about its axis with its north and south poles. See the great beauty of it, system and order. And look up from the earth. Now take in our home, the solar system. See the great rings of the planet Saturn, the huge planet of Jupiter, the smaller planets such as Venus, Mercury, and Mars, and radiate love and well-being to them and sense the psychic vibrations coming off the planets and return that back to them. It's part of the great sea of vibrations, the cosmic keyboard. And look up, and keep rising up faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light, taking in wondrous range of stellar phenomena, pulsars and quasars, supernovae with their great bursts of light, the rogue planets, the asteroids, the nebulae, and start to sense the vastness of the Milky Way galaxy, our great home and its great spiraling arms. As we exit right out of it and look back at it, its wondrous spiraling shapes, part of the great orbiting and motions of the universe, just as our galaxy rotates in regard to its center, so our Earth rotates about the sun, and the Earth about its axis, and our moon about the Earth, and the electrons within our body orbiting within the atomic structure. Let us continue to rise up higher and higher again, take in the myriad stars and nebulae and start to see other galaxies. Rising up like in the work by Simone Elizabeth Saunders, her inspired work, assisting us in this meditation. Sense again the great system and order around us. The many galaxies and what astrophysicists, astronomers refer to as galaxies being in clusters. So we continue to rise up and move beyond our own local cluster of galaxies and see many, many other galaxies and clusters of galaxies and galaxies connected by great webs and the beauty of the nebulae. And sense this not only in a physical way as we rise up, but an inner psychic way of the full range of vibrations of the cosmic keyboard, the higher and higher octaves, which is the divine music that inspired artists on earth seek to imitate and move towards and are inspired by. The earthly music reminds us of this divine music and original angelic language. As we rise up and sense not only this local supercluster where we live and see the clusters of galaxies rotating about its great axis, we exit out from our own supercluster and see many, many other galaxies and clusters of galaxies and many superclusters. Astounded by the system and order and beauty of it all. The great harmony of the spheres is spoken since ancient times. And we apply the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as we rise higher and higher up into the cosmos. We go deeper and deeper into ourselves, our microcosm, a sense of greater presence of the divine within, link with the cosmic consciousness that is imbued throughout creation. The Rosicrucians speak of the cosmic, the universal intelligence back of the cosmos and all natural and spiritual laws. As we move faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light, we start to sense the universe as a whole and its great rotating action about a cosmic axis, spoken of since ancient times by mystics and philosophers. Take in the stupendous action of this great revolving universe about a great axis. And see in the distance the cosmic axis. Speed toward its midpoint, where we'll come to a stop. But keep using great inner spiritual action. Don't surrender yet. For as we use that great action within, it takes us deeper and deeper into ourselves, to the presence of the divine within. And as you move closer and closer to the midway point on the cosmic axis, slow up when you get there and dwell there, taking in this stupendous view of the cosmos, suggestive of the cosmic sense, of the consciousness of the cosmic within us. And following the instructions of the booklet, Liber 777, let us visualize the center of the cosmos, the center of our being, this midway point on the great cosmic axis, our own personal celestial sanctum. You may wish it just simply to be the stupendous view of the temple of the cosmos all about you. Or it may be some inspiring place in nature, like a sacred grove of trees. Or you're by a lakeshore or a seashore, and the lapping waves suggest the great octaves of the cosmic keyboard, raising vibrations higher and higher as we sense the cosmic consciousness. Or maybe it's some other inspiring place in nature, like a high vantage point from a hill or a mountain, suggestive of the expansive view we get through cosmic consciousness. Or maybe a sacred built structure such as a Sikh Gurdwara, or a Buddhist prayer hall or stupa, or a Muslim mosque, or a Christian cathedral, basilica, church, or shrine, or a Hindu mandir, some other built sacred structure like the Grand Temple of the Rosicrucians at Rosicrucian Park in San Jose, California. Fill in the sights and sounds of your personal celestial sanctum. There may be beautiful stained glass depicting Rosicrucian laws and principles. There may be incense rising up, suggesting the great rising up in consciousness that we took to rise to the heights of the celestial sanctum, to the wafting incense. May wish to be seated and amongst others who are seekers for wisdom, those on this teleconference call with us, other Rosicrucians and mystical students, the grand masters of our order, the imperator, may be conducting service for us at this time, visible and invisible masters. Fill in all the sights and sounds and feel an exhilaration of being in your personal celestial sanctum, at the center of the cosmos, at the center of your being. And when you've filled in the sights and the sounds and impressions of an inner psychic nature, just surrender and release, and let us apply the law of silence to dwell in profound silence, and then a most profound sense of peace that Rosicrucians call peace profound. Let us dwell now in silence, surrendering, sensing with each breath incoming the greater and greater presence, our true guide in life, the master within, the divine within. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breath, in harmony with all the other cosmic vibrations. Continue to dwell in the deep silence, the heights of the celestial sanctum. Just feel whatever there is to feel. Be in the presence of the inner truth. Now, as we continue our meditation from the heights of the celestial sanctum, let us perform another spiritual operation as part of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amwork. Let us work as a silent council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amwork to radiate love and well-being to all those who've petitioned our Grand Lodge for guidance and healing, and all those who may petition your affiliate body of the Rosicrucian Order Amwork for guidance and healing, and all those you know who are in need of guidance and healing, and all sentient beings throughout the cosmos that are in need of guidance and healing. Radiate love and well-being to them now. Let it flow from the depths of your being, your outer self or nature acting as a channel. To surrender to that flow. You may wish to enkindle the flow by feeling something, some experience you've had of great love for another, or something that happened in your life where you experienced great love. Let that kindle that flow of love from deep within you to radiate out like a great floodlight to all those in need throughout the cosmos and who have petitioned. Just let the love and well-being flow out from you. First, you may wish to use great inner spiritual force, just like we did to rise up to the heights of the celestial sanctum, to radiate out the love and well-being. The divine within will respond to this noble act of service. At a certain point, I think you'll find that you need to make no conscious effort. The radiation will continue and even speed up, and you'll know that you're reaching those in need. As that happens, just continue to surrender the divine within and allow this action to operate through you as an instrument. as the love and well-being flows out from you. Let your mind expand out with it. As we continue this work of metaphysical aid, let our mind become one with the cosmic mind. Assume the cosmic mind. Be the cosmic mind. Experience as the cosmic mind experiences now. Soon, fratres and sorors and participants will formally conclude this period of metaphysical aid, but we'll continue our meditation. Let us be assured that as these radiations of love and well-being will continue throughout our day as a way of life and part of our fulfillment of our mission in life, to all those in need, through the infinite resources that are within, as an act of service and an act of cosmic attunement. Let us formally conclude this period of metaphysical aid by saying, if it is the will of the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. Now let us continue in our meditation period a while longer at one with the one. Being the cosmic mind. Now soon we'll formally conclude our period of meditation, cosmic attunement to the celestial sanctum. Before we begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, you may wish to invoke the law of gratitude to thank all those who have loved you, who have taught you, who have shown you a higher standard in life. To all the Grand Lodge officers and Supreme Grand Lodge officers, the Imperator of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, for their guidance and love at all times. Teachers who inspired you, just radiate love and well-being to them. Now let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum. Going at great speed beyond the superclusters of the galaxies. Taking in the great, awesome experience and beauty of it all. Great system and order as we go by supercluster galaxy after supercluster galaxy and see in the distance our local supercluster. As we enter into it, we see myriad stars and galaxies and nebula, many, many clusters of galaxies. And see in the distance our local cluster of galaxies as we enter into it. Sense the beauty and wonder of it all. all great works of the grand architect of the universe, the divine music, all the vibrations. See in the distance the Milky Way galaxy and its great spiraling arms, our home. Let us enter into the great arm where we dwell, speeding past myriad stars and stellar phenomena, nebulae, and see in the distance the sun, our star, and the solar system. And zoom in on the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. And the hemisphere where we left off. And then the continent and the great nation or country where we dwell. Then the province or state, and our city or geographic area. And before we formally conclude this period of meditation, let us say together prayer and invocation. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. Let us continue to descend further into our neighborhood, our home, dwelling, where we left off, then the room, and where we're situated, seated, lying down, feeling rejuvenated, remade, reborn. Thankful for this opportunity, this mini retreat, and sensing the cosmic consciousness in our mind as our birthright will continue with us throughout this day and always. And when you're ready, you may wish to stretch and open your eyes, and we'll continue the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. Thank you. Now, continue with our presentations on the laws of life, or the laws of purification and rebirth. We see before us now a picture of Emmeline Michel, inspired singer, songwriter, dancer, and producer, who's very active in meditation and prayer. She sings in Creole, French, and English. She grew up and has deep roots in Haiti. She's based in New York City. We see in a way here an inspiring depiction of the essence of our presentation. Whereas Emmeline places her hand on our heart as a place of our heartfelt feelings and a place of purification. And as we purify ourselves, we're more able to sense the divine within us. And in that fashion, the law of rebirth is replied. And we see that in their upward gaze, suggesting the great rise that we made to the heights of the celestial sanctum. And by the law of correspondence, by looking upward, there's also that sense that reminds us deep within of the divine and the expansive consciousness within us and around us. The purification allows the rebirth to occur. Now, rebirth can be described in a variety of ways. For example, an illumination, just like the wondrous light that we see in Emmeline's face here. It could be like a new way of living, often suggested by the dawn or the rising of the sun, where there's many signs in nature that allow that inner spiritual experience to take place in us. But rebirth can also be described as a transfiguration. We see the human being in a new way. It's fundamentally identified with the divine within. Rebirth can also be described as a resurrection, an increased established rapport with the cosmic, the universal intelligence back of it, or a movement towards a greater manifestation of the human in the image of God or the divine. Now, while as Rosicrucian students, we know there is no actual or literal death, instead a transition from one state to another, an increasing realization of how the finite plane mirrors and informs the infinite plane and vice versa. In this regard, mystics, speaking of purification, sometimes mention a symbolic death, which is a poetic way of describing the various forms of letting go, releasing of unhealthy elements in ourselves. Purification be thought of as a clearing away of unhealthy habits and attitudes, and the forming and solidification of harmonious habits, and the preparation to be able to attune with cosmic for rebirth. An important part of purgation or purification is applying self-discipline, ensuring that in all aspects of our life, we are doing what we need to do in addition to what we may want to do. Also, find that in regard to purification, a part of ourselves may have been obscured or submerged in the subconscious mind, but through the rebirth experience that's come unearthed or come forward, what was in the subconscious is now more clear. And while some parts of that was come forth in the conscious may be wonderful and new skills greatly augment our capacity for service and well-being, there may be parts that are in need of purging or purification. And this is where further self-discipline and work is needed so we can lead to an even more expansive rebirth to follow. I'll let go of the slides at this point, but we'll think about what we've been observing in regard to the importance as mystic students as facing ourselves and how that relates to purification, rebirth, and ultimate self-mastery. You know, examples set and attitudes expressed by our parents, guardians, teachers, and others are often healthy to follow. But sometimes we need to learn or develop healthier ways of living than others have showed us. Just as we can see our physical selves reflected in a mirror, we need to be able to observe our psychological selves so that we can stand back and determine what needs to be changed or emphasized for more healthy living and less suffering and pain. Now we attune with the cosmic through the subconscious mind. So it behooves us that the latter be well cleared and harmonious in its functioning. In a way, when we did our meditation exercise, it was an act of purification as we rose up into the cosmic. Now, this clearing of the subconscious mind, thought of in terms of habits that Rosicrucians refer to as laws of the subconscious mind. We need to note and observe the consequences of our attitudes and habits so we can adjust accordingly to ensure healthy habits are in place. The old habits are changed into new ones. And we have specific techniques with the Rosicrucian order that we learn in our monographs and our weekly studies how to do that. It makes a wondrous difference in our lives, for our well-being and in service to others. Now, pain is an important signal that operates not only at a physical level, but also at the psychological level and even deeper. And this is an important part of purgation experience. Are we repeating stories to ourselves or others like a broken record? Are we holding grudges and bitterness? If so, we may need to examine how we can see these situations in a new way and make a breakthrough to their life-affirming lessons for self-mastery. Now, there's an important law that in a way is a special aspect or a special feature of the law of rebirth that I'd like to mention now. It's the Rosicrucian law of crucifixion, which is covered in our monographs. Now, the law of crucifixion has an important and helpful role in the purification of the outer self in preparation for rebirth and mystical union. This law can manifest in both smaller and larger ways, but it is not something to fear, for it leads to our increased capacity for the abundance of life and compassion for others. An example of crucifixion that we may have experienced and matured from is the unenlightened ridicule from those who could not understand what we seek in life. And for reflection on such an experience, there is in effect the opportunity for us, the aspirant, to burn away the dross and to be raised up in the gold of our nature, that is in vibrant health and wisdom. Now, well-meaning friends or relatives may try to persuade us to leave the mystical path or its near approach. This may even occur amidst other trials, yet if we forge onward, this is a crucifixion and great purification for us. Possibly as a student on the path, we've been tempted to find an easier way of illumination, which involves little time or sacrifice. This may mean the appeal of fantasy, fooling of others through suggestion of how evolved we are, lucrative get-rich schemes that claim suddenly all will be comfort and happiness, or other approaches based on false doctrines. If we have been so tempted yet persevered, this has been a crucifixion and a purification and greater preparation for the rebirth and the golden dawn. Possibly on occasion, we have hesitated to mention our study of the Rosicrucian teachings and search for truth because of the opinion of others. This constitutes a crucifixion as well. We may have been inclined to judge or evaluate cosmic laws and principles by their material benefits or the social status they would bring us. Yet unaffected, we marched on. This too is a crucifixion. Each of these is not a point in life to wallow in disappointment, embitterment, and fear. They are but a point of purging of what is unworthy in us. Unneeded fear, misconceptions, wrong actions, and their effects on us. What is purged is that which is mortal and is a hindrance on the path. It is not of what is essential in life. It is not part of the life divine. In other words, crucifixion is a purging of the outer self and a polishing of the mirror that is the soul personality, so that we may better reflect the one soul and master within our cosmic connection. The master within finds life and a strengthened expression on the path. To fully appreciate the purification, the subsequent rebirth is necessary. And to fully appreciate the illumination and rebirth, further purification is needed in this cyclical action. The tests and trials we've gone through have all played their part from the cosmic perspective and viewpoint. Without them, the laws of resistance, purification, rebirth, and transmutation could not have been fully enacted. There's a Rosicrucian adage in this regard: dare to do, and that strength will be given unto you. In this regard, Past Grand Master Robert E. Daniels mentioned that, yes, we learn from our experiences of suffering, but it's equally important to learn from our experiences that are happy and joyful, because there are important lessons in them as well, both in terms of their content and to know how those states of harmonium are to be maintained in our lives. The purity and awakening of conscience that occur in meditation are our guide and standard. Are we thinking and acting in a way that is keeping with that purity and standard that we experience in meditation? If not, we need to reflect and redirect ourselves back in harmony. That's why it's so important to do the meditation each day and to build up the virtues to keep us on track on the mystical path of maturity. Now, it's important to have a strong foundation in life. And our ultimate foundation is the divine within, unshakable and infinite, much greater in extent than the apparent immensity of the universe itself. That is part of one of the great lessons of the ascending to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Perfection is already within us. The inner self has infinite resources and wisdom, which the outer self can draw on when needed. Now, confrontation and struggle with an important life question can be a time to search our monographs and their indexes. It's part of this knowing how to purge ourselves. A tremendous amount has been given to us in the teachings of the order and through the mystics down through the ages that we may not recall directly or fully appreciate from our earlier readings and study. Further, we need to be broad-minded and imaginative to see how a particular law or principle applies in our specific case. That's why it's often sometimes helpful to see in others how they're applying Rosicrucian laws and principles to get our own ideas in our own life. But it will be unique how we do it. You know, typically, dozens of smaller related lessons are pressing on us each day, which will allow us to grow wonderfully. On the other hand, if we ignore a lesson or lessons, a crisis will build up. So the lesson and certain laws of life cannot be ignored any longer. And then a healthy breakthrough can be made in our lives through the law of purification and rebirth. You know, a lesson in life will generally be clear and simple. We're here to learn. The lessons in life have telltale signs. They're a pure alchemical distillation. The complicating factors were of the outer mind in its finite grasp. There are telltale signs that we have learned the right lesson and that the rose petal is unfolding within us. There's an element of surprise, sometimes an astonishment of what has been learned. We feel uplifted and ennobled. Our enthusiasm and capacity to love others is increased. We become more intensely down to earth in being with and understanding others. At the same time, we are much more expansive and lofty in our strength, in our thoughts, our ideals, and capacity to radiate well-being. Our idealism grows as our practical approach to life is also increased. These are some of the telltale signs of having learned the lessons of life well and through conscience, keeping on track on the mystical path. And there's many traditional symbols for this process that we know from mental and transcendental alchemy, the passing through the crucible of experience, refining and purging the dross that we referred to earlier in our personal natures, and the pure gold of vibrant health and wisdom, which is our birthright. Also the symbolism of dragon slaying, facing ourselves and our challenges in our lives that may appear larger than they are and different than anything we've ever faced. However, we steadfastly apply ourselves and the laws that we've been talking about in this presentation to the condition or situation and embrace it, we'll find those situations will generally deflate in their looming size and even be enjoyable or satisfying to see them through to a resolution. You know, there's also the ancient and potent symbol of the phoenix bird, rising triumphantly out of the ashes and rebirth and resurrection, letting go of the old ways and living in habits that are no longer helpful and replacing them through law of purification with life-affirming and wholesome ways of living. Now, I'm thinking more about this concept of the human being in the image of God, or the divine within. As we mature and evolve, our understanding becomes more expansive, timeless, and universal. Our way of life becomes more wholesome, life-affirming, and healthy in the manner fully intended for humanity's mission and purpose on earth. The human in the image of God refers not so much to our physical natures, but more to our mental, creative, and spiritual natures. Like we saw in that work by the artist Saunders in Cosmos, Creation at the very beginning. You know, notably our abilities to analyze, visualize, organize, create, and love the divine. And also on a personal level, the experience of the microcosm and master within is most uplifting. The master within is our cosmic connection, a reflection of the divine within. The mature person understands himself or herself from that larger perspective, from the wisdom of the cosmic and macrocosm. And at the same time knows that his or her experience is representative of all human experience. That's why our capacity to understand others is tremendously increased as we grow and evolve. This reminds me too of item 10 on the earlier Rosicrucian Code of Life, which I'll give you a reference for. It instructs us that we are a child of the studies and unworthy of Rosicrucian recognition, and that we are ever a student. This insight is a strong application of the law of humility and the law of purification on the way to light and rebirth, where we must attune with the cosmic consciousness, be in accord with it, be in sympathy with its oneness. Now, before I formally conclude, I'll ask Karen at this time to please post the resources for the presentation in the chat. I'll emphasize they're there as a PDF for you. They'll also be pasted in as text in the chat, but I think you'll find what works best for you will be if you can download the PDF. Now, in conclusion, I'll say we have continued to explore Rosicrucian laws and principles and their application for self-mastery and service. And as we mature and grow up, evolve, and unfold the petals of the rose, our understanding becomes more expansive, timeless, and universal. Our way of life becomes more wholesome, life-affirming, and healthy in the manner fully intended for humanity's mission and purpose on life, here on earth and beyond. In this manner, the petals of the rose unfold in our heart. We learn the lessons of life well and are the living, radiant embodiment of them in mystical union with the divine. Thank you.